Welcome back. I have the third video in the Polarised training series for you today. But before I go into the sessions, which I promised to share with you, I wanted just to return back to the graph I showed you at the beginning. So to remind you, Polarised training is all about training in either that green zone you can see on the screen there, the aerobic, easy, feel guilty, could go harder, nose breathing, easy talking zone. 80% of your training below that level of 80% intensity. The alternative to that is Vo2 Max, hurt locker, feeling sick, red mist. This is too hard training, of which we want to do 5 to 10% above that 92% zone. But remember, these are just guides. Now, on to the training. Firstly, the real intensity stuff. These are sample sessions known as Tabata from a Japanese physiologist. Now, with each of the three sessions I'm going to give you next, please understand that it's important to have a long warm-up of around 20 to 25 minutes, progressively increasing intensity, maybe including a few very short bursts at the level you're going to be working at, making sure you're sweating and you really are warmed up, and particularly for running, because we want to avoid getting injured. And you're going to be generating significant quantities of lactic acid and really challenging your central nervous system. So it's a good idea to have a cool down. So although the main sets are short, do not think that you're going to get away with a 20-minute session. You still probably need to leave 45 minutes to an hour for this type of workout. Okay, Tabata sets. The Tabata protocol is a 20-minute or 20-second work bout followed by 10 seconds of coasting. You do that 8 times. It takes 4 minutes in total. In the pool, I'd be counting strokes because it's going to be rare that you're able to use the total distance. And the counting strokes means you can do it in an endless pool or in the ocean or a lake as well. These efforts also are so short that it's probably difficult to measure heart rate. So you're going to have to use RPE or some other tangible measurement like on the bike where you can measure functional threshold power, of which I'd be choosing around 150%. So if you've got an FTP of 300, then you'd be working at 450. Okay, if you don't have that, then you're going to use some trial and error sessions first, find the right cadence and gear that gets you up into the zone. And if it's something like a 53-15, then you're going to do 53-15 all the time and choose the cadence. Let's say it's 100 revs and keep that 100 revs throughout the 8 reps. That will get you somewhere close. Then you can fine tune it over the weeks. On the treadmill, I find that running at a 10% incline and stepping off for a rest is good. And at that, most people will probably be going at 10 to 12 kilometers an hour. You could also do step running, and if you wanted to try something different, you could even use some gym exercises like burpees, running on the spot, or even deep water running, which I'll come back to in a moment. Okay, so that's the Tabata protocol. Be adventurous. Think of some different ways to do it. Okay, next we have Vo2 Max, a more traditional way of challenging that top end. The equivalent pace would be your 400 meter pace in the pool is reflective of Vo2 Max. On the bike, you're looking at about 10 to 20% over functional threshold to challenge Vo2 Max, and your 3k pace in the run is reflective of your Vo2 Max velocity. Then you want to be taking efforts of around 2 to 4 minutes. Some highly conditioned people can do this at 5 to 10 minutes, but it's hard work. I'd suggest that you probably do around 15 minutes of total work at this intensity. Certainly no more than 20 minutes. And I know triathletes will go, yeah, I can do 20 minutes. But the likelihood is you're just going to be more tired without giving yourself the extra benefit, and then that'll carry over into future sessions. So those are Vo2 Max sessions. Work your own ones out. Just stick to those guidelines. And finally, we've got anaerobic power. In these, you're probably going to be able to manage 4 to 5 reps at maximum. Any more than that, and you're probably actually not doing the max sets at max, you're probably going at 90%. So give it everything for 4 to 5 reps. Triathletes and highly conditioned endurance athletes recover their heart rate and their breathing very, very quickly. But don't be fooled. That doesn't mean your central nervous system and your muscular system are recovered. They need longer. So do take the 4 to 5 minutes recovery. In the pool, you'd be wanting to do a 25 or 50 metre sprint, or a 33 metre sprint if you have that. Maybe even from a dive start with a tumble turn and just sprinting for your life. Problem for triathletes there is they often don't have the arm speed, but you'll work it out. On the bike, I'd be doing a standing start or a slow rolling sprint into a max effort for 30 seconds without changing gear on the bike, and always do it on the turbo trainer or the gym bike. And when you're running, I'd be doing 150 to 200 metre sprints, maybe slightly uphill. Now, I said earlier that you could use deep water running, and for those of you concerned about injury from doing this high intensity work, then that might be a really good alternative. It's something I've been doing myself. Okay, so that's the real high end stuff, and at the opposite end, we're looking at the green zone stuff. You need to find a way to keep the intensity low. Again, I said you're smart people, you can work it out yourself. My suggestion is that you stay below that 80% intensity and above 65%. Anywhere in there will give you roughly the same aerobic benefits. If you've got slightly longer sessions, like a 1.5 to 2 hour run, I'd be closer to the 65%. If you've got sessions that are closer to an hour, hour and a half, then I'd be up near the 80%. But don't think that you always need to go 80%. I use the MAF heart rate formula, 180 minus age. You can add or take 5 beats per minute off the 180, depending on whether you've had consistent training or it's been interrupted by injury. But if you look for MAF formula on Google, you'll find a description of this on the Primal Endurance site or the Primal Blueprint site. It's not perfect, I know that, and I've heard people say, yeah, this is just one way and it's rubbish. It's not, but it's not perfect. It's just a guide. And I think if you consider this to be like the speed limit on the motorway, it's there. You can drift just above that, but as long as you're mindful of it, you're never going to stray too far from the limit, and then you're not going to get into trouble. It's the same for this heart rate. So don't try to be too smart. Just listen to your body, take a note of your heart rates. And if you don't like the idea, particularly when you're running, that you're going to have to stop running, try using nose breathing as an alternative. And on that way, if you can't breathe through your nose when you're going uphill, then you're definitely going too hard. If you're struggling to keep your heart rate down on the bike, it probably just means you've chosen too adventurous a route with too steep a hill and you need to back off. Okay, so that's it for now. Thanks very much for watching. That is my last but one video for the year. I'll be back just before the new year with a wrap up for 2016. For those of you watching, have a very Merry Christmas. I hope you get all the little gadgets and toys you wanted. You're getting some good training, but also that you have time to relax and enjoy the Christmas season with your family and your friends. Don't forget to enjoy a little bit of extra Christmas food and drink. Let your hair down a little bit and get back on it in the new year. But that's it for me. So have a good one, and I will see you on the other side. Bye.